Hi guys, this is Jean Holden, producer of the show, and I just wanted to take a minute to let you know where you can find us on the internet. Please go to ThatMan on fatman.com. There you can find out all the things you need to know about the show. You'll be able to find links to the podcast, to YouTube, to Twitter, Facebook, even Instagram and Snapchat. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Today's show is brought to you by Death Wish Coffee. Death Wish Coffee, the strongest coffee in the world.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and I want to urge you to make a generous donation to the Wayne Foundation so we can stop the sexual trafficking of children. Do it, or I'll find you.
And don't forget to check out our good friend of the show, Mark Live, over at chundertunes.com for all your podcast animation needs. ThatMan on Fatman is recorded with a Zoom H6 handy recorder. Zoom for creators.
Disclaimer. The show you're about to experience is for entertainment purposes only. The host used mature language and conversation just like in most of life. If you're too uptight, this might not be for you. All that said, we really do hope you enjoy the show. But if you don't enjoy it, expect a nice big shipment of my joyous Joker juice on your doorstep in the very near future. Toodles!
Yes, please note that use of all sound effects is done ironically.
Ooh-ah. You are listening to ThatMan on Fatman with Scott and Jean Holden, and they, trust me, have a great ass.
The second Y is sent in by
ThatMan on Fatman.
Oh, right on. Scott Holden.
Scott Holden, yep.
And what is Scott?
Call me Scott because I'm Holden.
As the world's biggest Kevin Smith fan, I appreciate the fact that somebody finally made a podcast about that interesting motherfucker. So, yes, you absolutely did the right thing.
Okay, what has two thumbs and is a huge fan of Kevin Smith? ThatMan!
Scott, who does ThatMan on Fatman podcast.
Yeah.
Ooh-ah.
Well, once upon a time, just a regular man read a book written by the Fat Man. Tough shit written by old Kev Smith.
Ooh-ah. ThatMan on Fatman.
Kev said go out and start a podcast, and so I did, and I had a real blast. But my obsession was driving my co-host nuts.
He's that man. He's talking.
Didn't want to bring the podcast down. Needed Pork Chop Murphy to hang around.
Go get him, that man.
So I created a show with one heck of a plan, and I call that show ThatMan on Fatman.
ThatMan on Fatman.
Go get him, that man.
We're gonna talk about Kevin Smith.
ThatMan on Fatman. ThatMan on Fatman.
Go get him, that man.
We're gonna talk about Kevin Smith.
Go get him, that man.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode 5-14 of ThatMan on Fatman. That means this is season 5, episode 14 of ThatMan on Fatman. My name is Scott Holden. I host, and usually in the house would be co-host and producer extraordinaire Jean Holden. But today...
No!
That's right. No, she won't be here. It's just a crazy week. It's the last week of school. There's a lot of stuff going on. Crazy weekend, Pride weekend, yada, yada, yada. So just full, it was just easier to do it this way. But you will experience her presence during our interview this week, which is kind of special. A friend of the show, someone that I'm sure you all know and love. That's right. The First Lady of Clerks, Miss Marilyn Ghigliotti, is here as our guest. But before we do any of that, we're going to jump into the Smedlines. Yay.
That Man on Fatman presents The Smedlines with Askew News reporter Danielle Ryan.
Hey, Danny, I'm flying solo, so what have you got right now?
Hey there, Askewniverse. Today we've just got a couple of quick things. Not too much news in the Kevin category, other than, first off, the other day on Twitter, he called out IndieWire for basically just copying word for word what he said in his podcast without linking to the podcast or mentioning the co-host, Mark Bernardine. And I've seen a lot of this researching for this particular podcast, looking for news stories and stuff. And there's a lot of quote unquote entertainment sites out there that just grab what he says word for word and then post it as a piece. And as an entertainment writer myself, I'm with you, Kevin. That's really crappy journalism. So thank you for calling that out.
But that is happening more and more, though. Stephen King was one of the first ones to sort of sound this out, like, why am I doing your work for you? Like, people would send him questions, and essentially now he's writing the answers. So why is he doing that?
Yeah. And I'm like, if you're going to, say, oh, Kevin Smith said ABCD in a podcast, then the very least you can do is link to the podcast at the bottom of the article. Like, that's common journalistic courtesy. So I'm with you on that, Kev, and you should definitely mention, Mark Bernardine being the co-host and all of that stuff. This lazy copy-paste journalism has got to end.
Yes.
So, yeah, with you, Kev. Thumbs up.
Awesome.
And then the other big thumbs up is that Kevin posted a selfie on National Selfie Day, and the internet blew up because he is looking svelte as ever.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my goodness, he looks like a different person.
I totally double-taked. I'm like, Kevin, you're fucking hot.
Yeah, he looks great. I'm just so happy for him. I don't think I could be vegan, but if it works for you, it works for you, and I'm glad.
I still wonder how much that word is now just used, like, as a replacement for vegetarian now.
No, because vegan is no eggs, no milk.
I know that, but I wonder.
No honey.
I wonder how many of the people who use the term now really understand that. I feel like it might be getting overused for vegetarian. Because notice how vegetarians have disappeared.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that is definitely something that's kind of disappeared a little bit. As people, oh, I'm a vegetarian or I'm a pescatarian. I actually knew somebody who was a pescatarian for like 25 years.
That's like fish, right?
It's just fish, no red meat, no chicken, no pork,
vegetarian
no birds.
who eats fish. Yeah.
Yeah, vegetarian who eats fish. Which,
what's funny is a lot of vegetarians are like that, and most of the rest of the world.
Because you got to get your protein somewhere, and the thing with being a vegan is being vegan is doable, but getting the right levels of protein and iron and all your nutrients, you have to eat a lot of food, and B, a lot of
beans and legumes.
Food.
A lot of beans and legumes. A lot of chickpeas, a lot of black beans.
Quinoa, all those kale. I mean, you're basically eating all the trendy foods because that's all you can eat, and that's the only way to get your nutrients. So
and tofu. Tofu's high in protein.
Tofu's delicious though, so I'm on board with tofu.
It's all about that's all about how you prep it.
Exactly. A little fried tofu and some stir fry, like not even hard fried, just a little oil in the pan and just saute it up. Like tofu is so good that way. Yeah. It's like fatty marshmallows. I dig it.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, so I'm happy. I'm super happy for Kevin, and a ton of people came out of the woodwork when he posted that on Instagram and to Twitter, and just everybody was super stoked for him. And Harley said that it's the healthiest her dad's ever been, and I'm just happy for him because it's great. Only a couple months ago we were talking about the heart attack, the Widowmaker, and here he is, healthier than ever, and hopefully we've got another 50 years with him grossing us out and making us laugh.
Well, I want to infer something. This is I don't know that it's news per se, but it's more falls into the like rumor / possible, because Kevin, after that selfie, also posted some pictures of him, because apparently they went back and reshot some stuff from this pilot he had worked on, which was about him, and I can't remember who his co-star would be, but they would work in a weed store.
Okay.
And I guess at the time when they originally put this pilot together a year or two ago, it like the market was being flooded with, I guess sitcoms set in weed stores.
Yeah, well, there was the Kathy Bates one, Disjointed, it was on Netflix, and then there was kind of a little bump in those when legalization went through in a couple more states. Everybody was like, hey, let's jump on board this train.
Yeah, and I think Kevin, his show was in there too, and I think what has happened is a lot of those shows have pretty much seemed to have died and gone away, and which makes sense because, like, think about this. When you know that there's a Kevin Smith weed show on there, why the fuck would you want to watch, out there, why the fuck would you want to watch nobody weed show?
It's like you're either going to go watch Weeds, the Genji Cohan show that was on a decade ago that was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Or you're going to watch Kevin's show because those, or like, if it was like a
Tommy
Chong weed
show.
Someone,
a person synonymous with the product. So I think they went back and they reshot some of this to update, and I think it might be ready to sell.
Ooh, that would be cool.
I
would watch the heck out of that.
That would make so much sense too, because with all the other ones kind of failing, I mean, why not go, hey, this one would work?
I just can't wait until we get Getting Dug with High on like an actual TV channel. Like that to me will be the day we've succeeded.
Well, they could probably go on in Canada now.
Yeah, there you go. He could go set up in Vancouver and
all legal up there.
It's all legal up there, and he could just have people come on up to Vancouver. Well, I mean, right now he shoots it in California, so
yes,
that's how he kind of gets away with it because it's on YouTube. And but I love Doug Benson.
Yeah,
I met him at a party, and he was so high that I don't think he knew what planet he was on. It was amazing.
See, I don't even know how to get that high. You know what I mean?
I
think you have to make a real effort to get that high.
He's the guy that did Super High Me. He owns a volcano, so I'm going to say he has he has the technology.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I hear about Kevin. Kevin apparently has some killer strain of weed that, like anyone else who's not him that smokes, is usually pretty much curled up.
Yeah, according to Internet Weed, the Whispers, Entertainment Land Whispers, the man with the best weed in all of Hollywood has been and will probably always be until the day he dies, Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
So, which I think is hysterical.
Which is why he crashes planes and ends up getting hurt on every set he's on.
But it's also why he still is like the most affable, doesn't give a shit guy at, he's in his 70s, he's like, whatever.
Yeah, he's pretty groovy.
He's pretty chill.
Yeah, I mean, isn't he going to be doing another Raiders movie soon?
He's doing another Indiana Jones movie, so amazing. I mean, the weed's doing something for him. If he's still doing movies, I'm all right with it.
And I've heard Marion's going to be in it too, but no Buzz or whatever the fuck his name, but Bug.
Marion's my girl. Yeah. I mean, even though like the age difference is real creepy, it gets a little Lolita there, But that's okay. They'll update it. It'll be fine.
Well, she even says it. Like, I was only 14 or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, she's like, I was only 14. I was like, ew. Like, that ain't right. I mean, and then Harrison Ford sleeping with Carrie Fisher when she was like 19 and he was like 35 and married. And I'm like, I'm seeing a little life imitating art here.
So, nothing like, I guess, what do they say? You're only as old as the person you feel.
Yeah, and as much weed as you smoke. Because I'm pretty sure that, like, Snoop Dogg's going to be around forever. Like, maybe weed just, crystallizes inside of you and turns you into just an old, wise weirdo.
That is, like, one of my new favorite shows.
The Snoop Dogg? It's great.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg's, what do you call it? Damn it. Joker and a triple. Joker's Wild.
Yeah, Joker's Wild.
Because it's, first of all, they get, like, gorgeous contestants. And, like, the questions are stuff I can answer, and Kevin's involved now. And so why not love it even more?
It's pretty great stuff. I'm a big fan, and I'm super excited. This is only tangentially related to Kevin, but I'm just going to have to drop this. I'm super excited. Preacher's back this week. So everybody watch it. It's my favorite freaking show on television.
Really? You're a big fan. So you made it through the first season and were pleased.
I made it through the first season and was extremely curious as to where it was going to go.
Okay.
I don't want to say pleased because that end of that first season is rough.
Okay.
That is a lot to get through. It's like the first season of Game of Thrones where it ends and you're just like, wait, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, we're binge watching Luke Cage, which just dropped the other day over here. So.
Yeah, and Luke Cage. I've not seen the first season, so I've got to catch up on that. Yeah. But Preacher's my jam because it's super inappropriate, super vulgar. They're doing stuff on it that nobody else has the balls to do. That's just so off the wall. I mean, Jesus's descendant is a mentally disabled person named Humperdinck. And Hitler's a major character.
There you go.
And it's not for everybody, but it's the special brand of sacrilegious that just tickles my heart.
It was a 90s comic that sort of blew up, like the whole, religion and like, it makes sense that Dogma came along in there too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, and this is the same era. Preacher kind of came up at the same exact era as Hellblazer, which is John Constantine.
Yep.
And there's another comic that it ended up being a terrible movie, but it was Jonah Hex was another comic, similar time period. And it was all the same kind of tone, same kind of sacrilegious, F the world kind of craziness.
And you know what else kind of snapped in there too? The Anne Rice books were sort of around that time.
A little bit, yeah. The later ones. That's when she was writing
Memnoch, the Devil, and that stuff kind of ripped off some Constantine stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I love Memnoch the Devil. Like, I know it's pure, just literary garbage, but I love it. I can't help it. It's Lestat goes to hell. I mean, how can you not be interested in that concept?
Yeah, I like the first book and I like the second book, but all of them just got progressively weirder.
Well, that's because
it became harder to hold the whole story sort of together.
I found out why.
Why?
I actually got my answer to why Anne Rice's books have gotten progressively shittier. And
she doesn't care.
She said, after Queen of the Damned, she said they edited her so heavily on Queen of the Damned that she would never let an editor push her around ever again, and she would release her books the way she thought they should be released.
Uh-oh.
So this is what happens when an author has no editor.
Yeah,
and that's why they've gotten progressively worse. Because, like, the last one, or I didn't read the last one where he goes and fucks mer people. The Sot in Atlantis or whatever. I was like, no. But I did read
I didn't
Prince
even know
Lestat.
about that.
Yeah, well, I read Prince Lestat, and they're like, this is the end of the Vampire Chronicles. I'm like, well, I want to know how it ends. And I was like, this is silly. Like, she goes full science fiction. And then, Lestat has a kid and all this other stuff. And then she's like, let's do one where he goes to Atlantis. And I was like, if Lestat fucks a mermaid, I'm so done.
Wow.
So, no.
Yeah. Shame. I actually even liked the interpretation of the film. It was actually very good. But...
Yeah, oh yeah. Interview with the Vampire is good. Queen of the Damned is flaming hot garbage, but it holds a special place in my heart because nostalgia.
You want to know something interesting about that? The guy who played Lestat in that was supposed to play Aragorn.
Yeah, Stuart Townsend.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was supposed to play Aragorn.
And then he was let go because they cast too young, which I could have told you as soon as I saw a picture of him.
Oh, way too young. Yeah, Stuart. And then he went on to play Dorian Gray in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and then his career just kind of stopped.
Yeah. Shame.
I mean, that is the movie that ended Sean Connery's acting career, so...
It did kind of stop it, that's for sure.
No, after that one, he said he wasn't doing anymore. That was the nail in the coffin.
He hasn't done anything since then? Really?
Really.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, what are you going to do?
You're going to watch League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and make fun of it. That's what you're going to do.
You know what? I've seen worse movies. That's the truth.
I know, but it's a fun one to make fun. Like, it's one of those that's like, it's good bad. Like, it's at least just stupid enough to enjoy watching.
Let me draw your attention to Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher.
Oh, man. Or let me draw your attention to the movie we're doing on Freaky Fandoms this week, which is my podcast where you can catch me.
Yes, good plug. Nice segue.
At freakyfandomspodcast.com or over on the Twitters at freakyfandomspc. And this week we are doing the most batshit crazy good bad movie on the planet Earth. We are doing Bad Lieutenant Port of Call, New Orleans, which is the Nicolas Cage, Werner Herzog sort of remake of the 1992 Harvey Keitel film.
Oh my God. Okay, now first off, I actually know the cinematographer or he might have been cameraman. I think he's a DP though on that project, on Bad Lieutenant, the original.
On the original, yeah, I was going to say the original, because the remake is a flaming dumpster fire, but in the best way.
The guy who directed that movie apparently is a junkie.
Oh, the original?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's really hardcore into the drug scene and into violence, and I can't remember his name off the top. Ari something.
And the funny thing is, the guy who I met, who was his cinematographer or did his camera work, was sober. I knew him in AA.
Okay.
I'll clip this a little bit.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That was all in a New York crew. That was all a very, very New York movies.
And it's really weird because I feel like because he offered me a job as a focus puller back in the 90s, and I was just kind of getting my act together, and he even said, "Oh, did you just get married? Oh, this probably won't be the right work for you because you'll always be off and blah, 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 blah." But if I went back in my time machine and redid it, I would have taken the job.
Yeah, I know how that is.
Yes.
But that's okay, because Bad Lieutenant 1 is, it's a great movie, but it is not a movie that you can watch repeatedly, because it is just not a good time. It is a depraved tale of a man just going completely off his rails.
He also shot that Johnny Depp movie, like Dead Man, I think it's called.
Dead Man's Jim. Okay, so that's the Jim Jarmusch movie. If he shot that makes so much sense, because there's a visual style thing going on there with lots of high contrast lighting.
Yeah, he shot that too. Yeah, I remember him working on that.
That movie is wacky.
Yeah, that's what he was working on.
yeah, that's Jim Jarmusch's Dead Man. That is a really strange film, but. Okay, we're doing Bad Lieutenant 2, or Bad Lieutenant Port of Call, New Orleans.
I didn't even know there was one of that. That's amazing. And it figures it would have Nick Cage in it.
Yep, and it's from 2009. It's Nick Cage, Val Kilmer, Exhibit, and, oh crap, I forgot the woman, Eva Mendes.
Okay.
And it is directed by Werner Herzog.
Okay.
And
this sounds like a flaming dumpster fire.
It's a flaming dumpster fire. The whole script was written by the guy that used to write for NYPD Blue and Law and Order.
Okay.
So it has a the original script was very NYPD Blue, Law and Order-y, but then Werner Herzog got on set and he would just rip up pages of the script and write his own.
Is there a show me how you suck a cock scene?
There's you'll watch her, and then there's also my favorite line I think in any movie in the past, as far as I can remember. He says, "Shoot him again. His soul is still dancing."
Wow.
Yeah, and then they continue to shoot at this already dead body that Nicolas Cage sees breakdancing because he's high on so much crack.
Wow.
Yeah. This is a movie where Nicolas Cage has a lucky crack pipe. This is a movie
there
that
you go.
I think
okay, so he is.
It's worth seeing. It's hilarious.
Do you remember the classic "Where Were You" scene in Bad Lieutenant, where he's like, naked and sort of acting his heart out?
Yeah.
There was a hair in the gate on the first take.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, because that's so punishing. Yes. I can imagine.
Yes. I remember, that is one story I do remember hearing. Because like Harvey was like very, very bugged by that because he had to go do that again.
Yeah, understandably. Like I wouldn't want to do anything in that movie again. That whole movie would just be like I would have to have therapy afterwards. I'd be like, I acted all those things.
Oh, well, I need therapy now. Strawberry, you fuck! He's just like cursing about Daryl Strawberry the whole time.
Yeah, it's rough, but the sequel is just stupid and fun. And if you like Nicolas Cage movies, this is Nicolas Cage at his absolute cagiest.
Oh, I've got to get it on my radar.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a blast. And yeah, you can check it out there. And we're also dropping a new Rainbow Reels next week sometime. And this episode is all about bisexuality and pansexuality in pop culture. We're going to call it Bye 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 because I think that's funny.
There you go.
So there you go.
What films do you think you're going to feature? There's ones jumping to my head already.
We're going to feature movies, and we've actually decided, my brother and I came to the agreement, we are also going to start including TV. We weren't originally, but we've realized that there's just too many good examples on television, and that there's a lot of ways to compare and contrast TV and movies. So we'll be doing TV and movies. I really, more than I want to talk about good representation, I want to talk about queer baiting and how bisexual characters are usually used to do that, because it's really easy to say somebody's bi, even if they're, depicted as being straight or in a straight relationship or straight flirtation. It's very easy to say, oh, well, they're bisexual.
Bisexual tend to be bad guys or evil.
Oh, absolutely. Or it's a thing where it's played up for laughs. The biggest example is the end of the movie Dodgeball with Vince Vaughn, where she starts making out with a woman. He's like, wait, you're a lesbian? She goes, no, honey, I'm bisexual. And he goes, sweet. And then him and both women all hug each other. And I was like, yeah.
Classic depiction.
That's a punchline. Like, that's not a person.
That's why everybody seems to think that they deserve a three-way.
Exactly, which is not okay. So we're going to talk about all of those things. We've got a really cool guest coming on, a good friend of mine, Drew Deitch from Genre Vision. And it's going to be a great time, and I'm looking forward to hearing what people think. Cool. And it's on Spotify now, so you can get Rainbow Reels on Spotify.
Wow, you're on Spotify already.
Yeah,
Awesome.
We did it.
Yay! Last I heard, we were still under review.
They had to put everything on suspension. They suspended all new podcasts for the past month and a half, and they're just now getting back and popping them in.
Oh, wow.
And I think because ours only has one episode, it was real quick for them to go, okay, yeah, there's nothing in here that'll get us in trouble. It's yours.
Wow.
So
there you go.
Freaky Fandoms is going to take 1,000,000 years to get on Spotify. We have so much copyrighted content to edit out.
Yeah, I wonder how this show is going to do as well, as I'm thinking back to, occasionally, I will always have a fair use claim of some kind when I use a soundbite, because I understand.
Oh, absolutely. It's from something, and, you should. The only thing we do is we use movie trailers, and we'll use the audio from them.
Yeah.
Which, it's a trailer, so it's like you're not even really ripping off the intellectual property.
If David Bowie died, I'm going to talk about David Bowie. I'm going to play some David Bowie. I have fair use.
Yeah, if you're using a little bit of both. Exactly.
Yeah.
If I'm talking about Bad Lieutenant and I want to play, the shoot him again, his soul's still dancing.
Yes,
that's
fair
my right.
Use. That's fair use. And I believe it's 30 seconds.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, anyway, I appreciate you coming on again this week and giving us the news. And thanks for loading us down for what your shows are going to be this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to hearing what people think, and you can give me a shout out at Danny Rat, DANIRAT on Twitter, and give me suggestions for either show or suggestions for things you want to hear about, whatever. Just hit me up. I'm always open to ideas.
Excellent. And we will now play the theme and get the hell out of here.
Later.
My goofy sound.
This has been the Smedlines. With Askew News reporter, Danielle Ryan.
So sexy.
Follow her on Twitter at Danny Rat.
Meaning me, my voice. It's so sexy.
So sexy.
And there you have the Smedlines with Miss Danielle Ryan, our good buddy down there in Atlanta. And I just want to say, for the record, I know, and she knows, that Mark Bernardin's name is Mark Bernardin, but she was just in that moment where she's frickin' reading, and therefore, over-pronunciating, and not, clicking up. So, forgive her this week. That was a total reading faux pas on her part. Anyway, and shout out to Mark Bernardin there. We love you, and you have a right to make a stink. Anyway. So now, at this time, let's set things up for our guest today. And she's been on the show several times. we really enjoy our time with her. We're honored that, she continues to come on, and we kind of consider her a friend of the show for sure. And she's got stuff going on that she wants to talk about. And when I heard about like her latest project, as you'll find out very soon, it instantly said, yeah, she would make a good one of those. So I will not dilly-dally any longer, and we will cut over to our interview with Ms. Marilyn Ghigliotti, the First Lady of Clerks.
And now, here's our guest.
At this time, we're so happy to welcome back to the show someone we consider a friend of the show, and someone I would say is the First Lady of Clerks, and probably the first positive female role model in the View Askew universe.
And she was the first female we have ever had as a guest on the show.
I don't know.
Yes, she was.
Okay, well, I will take your word for that.
Yes.
Otherwise, I have to go back and do the math.
No.
But otherwise, welcome to the show, Marilyn Ghigliotti.
Yay!
Thank you. I was like, I didn't realize I was the first female, and it's like, yeah, that's actually a nice little. Also, First Lady of View Askew. That's actually nice.
Yeah, I mean, you really are. I always thought that. I mean, if you look back, Marilyn, the character you play, Veronica, is a very positive sort of role model.
Very strong.
Yeah, she's a strong-willed female. Yeah,
strong-willed, of course.
She really is.
She is.
She puts Dante in his place.
She has chutzpah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so we've heard that you have been directing. Now, before you say a thing about it, I want to say that made absolute sense to me, because I remember when we were there to shoot you for the documentary, I absolutely remember you being so well organized, so together. You had thought about camera angles, you had thought about so much.
And the lighting,
yeah,
and move things around.
It was like this. She should be directing.
Yeah, and Scott had said that, like, even like before we left California, he was like, gosh, she was so like pleasant. Like everything was just like ready.
I mean,
just organized. So when we heard that about you, it just made total sense.
Yeah, and I found a little bit of directing just for that documentary, like the biggest sort of. You just have to be organized, and you have to be willing to be a cheerleader. And if you can do those two things, you're kind of a good director.
And so when we walked in, it was already done. So it was kind of like, wow, this is an easy job.
Yeah.
I'm glad I made that easy for you.
So tell us more. I mean, like, we know like the Kevin stuff. I mean, if people don't know who you are, she's.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's up to them to go look.
So we're going to find out about the directing. So, just like fill us in about what's going on, if you can.
Well, I have not directed yet, but I've been wanting to direct for, oh my gosh, I don't even know how many years now already. And it was basically, I mean, it all comes down to finances. As easy as it is to be able to do your own projects now, it still takes money.
It sure does.
And so that was a big factor for me. But then also just finding the right script or project to do that with. And so I don't know how long ago it was that I thought of an idea. And so I verbally described the idea to my friend Neil Johnson, writer-director of many films that I've worked on with him.
The story, right? The general story.
And so he's like, oh, that sounds really interesting. It's like you should make a feature length out of that. And I was like, I really don't have a feature length of it. All I had was what I had, and it was basically a short film. It really didn't take very much, and it was very confined to just 2 actors and very confined to locations as well. But even with the ease of just 2 characters in locations, again, it still requires having an editor. I mean, only just recently did I start editing my own reel to put together. but I don't know enough to be able to kind of do a movie. Even
You
a short
don't have
film.
to tell us a thing about it because that is right now where we have fallen down on our film.
The editing.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
we're in editing hell. Like we had editing going. One of our director of photography was editing, and then his wife broke her ankle, and extra threw the whole thing off, and then like. There's part of me that thinks I could have like taught myself editing by now, and then or it's all kinds of things.
And that's what.
So we get it.
Yeah, there's so many other technical aspects of putting a film together and one can be as diversified as possible in this business, but still, if you want it done right and for people to take you seriously, you need to do it right.
Yeah.
And you don't want to shortchange it in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
So
you have a story, and you.
I do. Back in January, I was in Utah shooting a short film with Tom Proctor, who made his directorial debut.
Okay.
And I was in back and in front of the camera. I was also doing a character role as well as doing the hair and makeup on it.
Mm.
And we had a really good time.
I'm already thinking, like, it really sucks that you're in LA, because if we were in LA or you were here, we could definitely help.
Yeah, there's so much we could,
have camera will travel, kind of stuff.
Right, right. Well, once I got back from that shoot, it just really got so ingrained in my head, and like, I got to basically shit or get off the pot.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Absolutely.
And so I've decided I'm going to get off that pot.
Yes.
Amen.
Good girl.
And so I kind of started putting my ducks in a row with people that I know, that I've gotten to know in the industry for the 21 years that I've been here.
Yeah, I gotta figure you have fucking connections enough to like, okay, I need a script writer. Boom. Okay, can you write? Here's my idea. Let's let's tighten this up. Right. Oh, I need a this person. Boom. Yeah. Okay.
And she just said it. She's been in the industry 21 years.
Yeah, I mean, we know that.
Well, I've been out here 21 years. I've been in the industry
California.
now.
Even more.
Gosh.
We know James, the cameraman we used while we were out there. We could pass along his information because he was amazing and usually just shoots like car shows and stuff.
Yeah. He's wonderful.
Oh, you know what? I may take you up on that because it's like I have a DP and I love my DP, but it's like, we can't use. Well, once I tell you about
dude's
the
got a
project,
drone. He's got all kinds of cool shit.
Ahead of myself.
Okay, yeah. All right.
I know.
Sorry. I mean, I get excited about this stuff too, so I get
it's fun. Yeah.
It
does get expensive.
But yeah, I started putting all the together, and I knew how much I was going to set. And here was another factor also that really held me back. I'd say probably more so than anything was the crowdfunding. I didn't want to do crowdfunding.
Oh my God, yes, I know. As people who've done that,
it's so hard.
It's miserable. It is the worst. Like,
it's the worst decision.
Well, first of all, nowadays really to put a movie together, like you have to become sort of a half-ass expert about everything. Yeah. You have to become a half-ass expert about crowdsourcing, about social media, and I say half-ass because you have to do everything all at once. You're not always doing great at all of it. So to us, we found what is essentially begging online.
It's never easy to ask people
to be the hardest part. It's
especially because you haven't really given them anything
is.
Yet.
It's really hard.
They're like banking on you to like do stuff.
Yeah, and here's the difference.
To ask my own family for money, even if it's a little bit.
It's tough, and it's a tough thing to get over too when you got to do it.
It's very humbling.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah. I agree. Most people have problems with this aspect of the business.
Well, and there's very much a trust thing going on between,
Yeah, you're going from that, hey, I'm that person you like online to I'm that guy begging you for fucking money every 5 minutes until this countdown clock is up.
It's the countdown.
But, and here's the thing, too, though, because it's like, there's always the misconception that people think that, Clerks is making me money where it's not. And so they may think that I'm well off when I'm not and I still have a day job and all this kind of stuff. So, there's so much in play with
Actually,
all this.
hang on a minute. If we do the math now for where the Clerk residuals go, because Miramax got bought, right? And then didn't that film collection get sold recently to the Women's Collective or something like that as part of that?
I honestly don't know. But the thing is, it's like the only people that were receiving residuals on that were Harvey, or I should say the Weinsteins, Kevin and Scott.
Yeah.
From what I'm going to assume Kevin and Scott.
And Kevin has already said publicly that he's giving all those residuals that he ever gets from anything associated with Harvey Weinstein to fucking to the charity. Well, and I think, that's what happened. I think what they did was they put all of that film collection of Harvey's into sort of into the Woman's Film Collective or something, and that's who's getting the residuals now.
Well, that would be very nice if they do that.
Yeah. That would be very nice.
That is what's. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening.
Well, check it out if you're.
Yeah, someone out there can fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
Savvy
I'm pretty sure that's what was happening.
It sounds like something.
In which case, Marilyn, I wonder if you could go. I was going to say, you are both a female filmmaker and a, sort of, a Miramax you could say victim.
Alumni.
Well, I mean, it's funny because when all that kind of did come out, I had an email. I think it was from Italy.
Okay.
Or somewhere in France. I can't remember. But it was a journalist.
Okay.
Asking me about that whole situation, and I was like, I can thankfully say that I never had any kind of experience like that.
You were way too distant.
Yeah.
But I only met him briefly, vaguely, that I can remember one time, and that's when we had our premiere at Planet Hollywood.
And so his penis was not out.
No,
not at all.
He wasn't playing with a plant in any way, shape, or form. That is the weirdest fucking story to me.
He's gross.
That is so. I gotta go in a plant.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's classy like that.
It's like you can't. You can't just hold it together. You can't maybe go into a restroom.
Marilyn is one of the lucky ones that evaded that.
Yes, you're right.
Thankfully.
You dodged a
you
bullet.
Were way too good for that. Way too good. I mean, not like. All of the women are. I mean, it's so horrible to even think about. But
it is very weird.
Yeah. Hopefully this all gets better soon.
But I mean, in all seriousness, back to the. I wonder if you could actually go to that group and get a grant or something.
Oh,
I don't know. And see, that's another thing. I don't understand. People have told me about certain grants, and I've looked them up, but honestly, I've not been able to make heads or tails out of any of them.
Yeah, grants are hard.
Because it almost looked like they.
You know who you should talk to? Mr. Robert Hawke.
Oh,
yeah.
He does know a lot of that stuff.
France, it almost looked like they wanted you to have the project already filmed. I'm like, well, I need the money to film it.
Yeah, some of them do. Some of them you need to start. There's some. Yeah. See, again, that's one of those areas Bob does know well from talking to him.
And they want to help you post-production.
He knows that area well, and he knows obviously navigating film festivals very well.
That's not when I need the money, though. I need it now.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure you have an in with Bob.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so this all sounds exciting.
So anyway, once I started kind of putting my things together, I was like 2 weeks in when I got contacted by other filmmakers that I know, and they wanted to have a meeting with me, and they told me how they were doing some shorts, and they were looking at doing multiple shorts versus one to do a crowdfunding because they felt it would be easier to film multiples and cheaper than to do one.
That's a great idea.
And they wanted me to act in two of them, but also to come on as producer. And at that point, I was just like, well, I just happen to be doing this as well, putting this together. And they were like, send over the script and, bring it on over and we'll include it into the mix as well.
Amen.
So and this was probably then going into mid-February. So since mid-February, we've been meeting every Thursday and just kind of getting things geared up for the Indiegogo, and we released that on Monday.
Oh, cool.
So
Is there an
exciting.
address? Do you have it?
Yeah. If you go to Indiegogo and just put in the search engine A Theory of Letters, and it should pop up.
Okay, cool. A Theory of Letters.
Wow, I love how this all like worked out.
Yeah, well, very well timed.
How everyone just connected.
Did you
That's
say
awesome.
it started Monday or it starts this Monday coming up?
It kicked off on Monday.
Okay, cool. Well, this will still drop like Sunday, so
Yeah.
we'll be a weekend.
So yeah,
so there'll be-
we're only really not even a weekend.
yeah,
Okay,
we'll be a weekend. So
it started on June 18th.
and you're doing like a 30-day thing.
We're doing 60.
Okay,
So
2
from
months.
June 18th to August 18th.
Yeah.
Now, so you're doing GoFundMe? Did you say?
Indiegogo.
Indiegogo. God, I get them all confused.
Jeez,
Sorry,
I'm confusing
Indiegogo. We did
everyone.
Indiegogo, so I should know that one.
Indiegogo, and
Which means you're probably doing so you get to keep whatever you get, as opposed
Pretty
to
much.
yeah. See, yeah, that was the same way
the way
we
to
went
go.
because
Yeah.
like there's that. If I'm gonna sell myself like and make everyone think I'm a whore, I want to at least keep the money I get from prostituting myself. Because then there's like, sorry, you didn't make your goal. Wah, wah.
I'm going to show something.
You were a whore for nothing.
I'm going to show something for exposing myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, but, aside from this, there's really been a lot of good things happening since the beginning of the year.
Great.
Because aside from having this going on, so I'll be in San Diego Comic-Con next month with the Shooting Clerks guys.
Awesome.
That's great. It's so exciting.
Yeah, we have a panel on Thursday evening at 6:45 in room 6A.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we won't be showing the film, so
Okay.
I get to not see it again.
Oh, that's
You still haven't seen it?
You haven't seen it
Really?
yet.
We've seen it like 6 times,
Oh,
but we
you're
have not
supposed
seen
to
the
say
most
that.
recent version.
That doesn't make her feel better.
But we went to festivals to see it. It's not
Wow.
like
I
we
know.
paid
Right.
dues.
But she's our guest and she's in it. She's not supposed to feel bad.
So,
Well,
but
I
it'll
can-
still be nice to be there with the guys because they, when they were here for WonderCon, we got together and we had a panel there as well. And I'm trying to finagle a table for Friday morning so that we can maybe do some meet and greets for a couple of hours.
Oh, that would be great.
We'll
Wait,
see
hang
how
on.
that happens if
Hang on.
it works
as,
out.
As someone who has seen it 6 times, I can say this without any hesitation. When your character pops on the screen in the phone call scene, there is always an audible reaction, gasps,
Like,
the
Like a whisper,
like oh my God, it's yeah. So everybody,
right.
there is always reaction.
There's always
so-
chatter or a gasp.
Yeah.
Or something. So it's
Ooh,
definitely.
but it's like, how do I take that? Good or bad?
No, it's always a
it's
good
not a
thing.
groan.
It's always been a cool thing.
Yeah, it's never been a groan or oh my God.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. So I know that they appreciate you and all of the guys that
They've
are
inserted
in the
even more
film.
cameos
Yeah,
too.
so they love hanging out with you and talking with you and sharing with you. So all of that is
Yeah,
that's so
no,
much
they,
fun.
when they were here in LA, they were a great group to hang out with. They really
are.
were, and I helped
They
out
definitely
as
are.
much as I could, and kind of earning that producer credit that I got getting.
You sure did.
And that Chris Bain sure is adorable,
He's
isn't he?
adorable. Chris Bain.
Yes.
Yeah, he has a special
He
little
really
place
is.
in our heart.
So yeah, gonna be down there with them. I don't foresee that I'll be there more than just the 1 or 2 days.
Okay.
Now
Now,
and
when is
then,
that going to be again? Can you say that again? When that's
yes.
going to be?
So the panel is on Thursday evening at 6:45, room 6A.
Okay.
6 Apple.
And that's the San Diego
Diego
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con.
That's like the Comic-Con.
That's in July.
Yes.
That's the absolute insane.
Ryan has been to San Diego Comic-Con before, so he knows what to expect.
Ryan,
I
James
would
Noir.
love to see the faces of the guys from the UK when they get to San Diego
Oh my
Comic-Con.
God, I know. I'm so jealous because they're getting there before us.
I saw Ryan James post something. What was it? Just today, I saw a goofy post
he's
from
a
him.
piece of work,
He
that
was
one.
at some movie, some premiere. Oh, Jurassic Park thing.
God, he's so hysterical.
Yeah, he is.
He's got.
Well, he's a promoter
if that
for a lot of
dude,
things.
if that dude was not straight, he'd be gay.
He seems very, it's true though.
You know what I mean?
He's just flamboyant. He
is. He's as flamboyant as a gay person, but I know he's straight.
No, he's straight. He wears great jackets. He is very he's fashion forward.
Yes.
He totally is.
And his
Totally
smile,
metro.
His smile is like, whoa.
He does kind of have a, what the heck's the name of the actor? Is it?
He has
It's
like
one
a
of the
Ryan-
Ryans. It's one of the Ryans.
Well, he has like
As a matter of fact.
he has like a Ryan Seacrest kind of way about him.
Yeah.
I think more like
Ryan Reynolds?
Or like
actually, to me, he's more like a Chris Hardwick,
Like a
although he's
mixture
kind
of
of getting
the
a lot of
two.
God,
backlash right
it's
now.
so
But
sad what
the
happened to
same
Chris
thing,
Hardwick.
Like
My
like
God.
a mixture of the two, kind of like.
yeah.
What the? First of all, I mean, okay, I know the Me Too movement, and I'm very much for the end of people harassing people
all
and
of
all
us
that kind
are.
of shit.
All
But
of us are.
just from what I know of Chris Hardwick, I don't see that.
No,
You
I
know,
think the
and
whole
this
thing's a
poor
sham.
guy is getting fucked.
I think it's a sham, but I'm sorry.
Like-
I just no.
He's like active in AA kind of. He's in the
I think
12-step
she-
program.
I
like-
think she-
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He's
think
sort of
she's-
like is working a better life and shit. Most of those people don't do shit like that.
Now, and that's okay for us to say because he's open about it.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
open
Well,
about.
yes, he's yes,
open
on,
about his
yes, on
sobriety.
his show he's talking.
Now the
about
thing is, it seems like this woman has flipped everything.
Yeah,
So
it feels
like
like
everything that she's saying.
She even
he's done-
commented that he would say about her drinking
Yeah,
bothered
it's
him,
a shame. I just feel like
and he
there's,
tried to control her drinking. Well, he was if he was trying to stay sober.
Yeah, it's right, exactly. If someone's in AA, they don't want to be hanging around someone who's drinking.
Yeah,
because-
and if someone around them is drinking, they might perceive as too much. They may be like,
Right.
"Hey, this seems too much,"
Well,
because
and
they're
that's-
sensitive to it.
and that's self-care. But that person thinks that you're saying that they're the problem, and then
Yeah.
they get defensive.
Now,
I mean,
I
we
don't
all
know that any of these discussions took
But we are
place,
going
but I,
very
just
deep.
on the rumor and shit that I heard in the news.
Yeah, we're going very
Right.
deep
I
into
mean,
the
I
society, but-
can't speculate. I can only, go by what I read, and
It just does not feel
it's hard.
like the Chris Hardwick I know.
I know.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we don't really know him,
Yeah, but from what I know,
And that's the thing. It's like we never know what goes on behind closed doors.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
true.
But
And
but here's another thing: behind closed doors, I'm pretty sure everybody in the world fucks up every now and then too.
yeah,
So
I just never have thought him to be like that. Like there's like
Yeah,
oh,
it's just
yeah,
such
but
a-
now it's like no.
such a bummer.
So it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like the Me Too movement backlash.
Right.
And it's the Me Too movement is very, very, very important.
I agree.
But unfortunately, there are some
Victims.
some stories that get mixed in that aren't quite exactly in the same realm and
Yeah.
kind of washes out or makes makes what's really important trivial.
Yeah, like
Right.
Franken. Al Franken now feels like, what the heck
Right.
happened there? Wait a
Right.
minute, huh?
Right.
Granted, it was silly and juvenile, but
Well,
you know what I mean?
well, there was that. What was
It feels like the punishment did not fit the crime.
who was the gentleman?
Yeah.
Aziz Azara? Is that him?
Yeah, him too. He's another
Yeah,
one
he
that just
got-
felt like
he
it
got-
felt like some girl had a bad date.
Yeah, that was.
You
a
know
Oh,
what I
bad
mean?
okay, yeah, I was going to ask you. It's like, yeah, you're talking about the bad date one. Yeah, that was a bad date.
That was the
Yeah,
bad date.
and that shit happens,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
that happens. But I think it just, and those are the ones that make it bad for the girls that really.
Right.
Yeah,
have- I mean,
And I wonder if Chris Hardwick hasn't kind of fallen in that.
Right. Well,
Because
and
again, when I don't know, I give people who are trying to better themselves a chance.
Well, and that's the thing too. And the girls are always given that benefit of the doubt too. So it has to go both ways, because the girl coming forward, because you can't say no. It's happened to her. So how can you say no when someone's been abused?
Yeah.
So there has to be some like you got to stop lying.
Now the
'Cause
upside.
it's fucking people.
Now the other side is someone who is also considers himself a recovering alcoholic. We can be total degenerate scumbags too.
Yeah,
so
I'm
okay.
We love it.
The other thing too is how do I put this? What someone is feeling, you can't take that away from them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If they're feeling a certain way, that's what they're feeling. But sometimes many aren't honest with themselves, and I'm talking both good and bad.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. We're all on delicate ice here.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. So, okay, so we left off.
How do we pull this back to film? I don't even know. I feel like the ice is cracked and we're we're swimming in the Me Too.
Well, Me Too, but our world now is crazy. So I mean, you can't help but talk about what's going on briefly, and then
we'll avoid it.
So what we were doing, we were talking about the San Diego Comic-Con.
San Diego Comic-Con, yeah.
Awesome.
So, it should be fun, and it'll be. Unfortunately, I won't be there the first day that the guys will be getting there and all that, because, like I said, it'd be so fun to capture the looks on their faces when they go there, like, oh my God,
yes, their accents.
And I'm pretty sure Kevin will be working the IMDb boat.
Yeah, too. I'm sure that they'll.
Oh yeah, I know. That's. Thank you for reminding me, because that is one thing that I wanted to find out, if he's going to be there.
I don't know for certain, but he's done it the last few times, and I can't see any reason why he wouldn't have that still be going.
Yeah, he seems to
kind of a good deal.
Contact Jordan.
Have you seen him?
He's lost like 50 pounds.
Oh my God. I saw him. I said, sir, you look fucking hot.
Kevin's hot.
He's fucking skinny. He actually is skinny.
He was always cute, he's
wearing like big boy pants and big boy shirts.
Not anymore.
Never like super cute. Like, whoa, he's like the hot dad now.
And he's like for they shot that weed show again, and he had the little hairpiece in too.
He has the hairpiece.
So
oh my
he
God,
looked like a total.
And he had like the
suit
jacket.
Unfortunately, that hairpiece just looks like a hairpiece.
No, it doesn't. It was well blended. It makes you forget that it was never. That it's a bald spot now.
But you know what's hilarious is though he just looks like a little boy in like this big like blazer. He's got like the blazer on.
It's taken like 30 years off his life.
Like he's going to brunch with his family or something.
Yeah.
And he had to put the blazer on. It's so cute. It really is. I say, wow.
Yeah.
Good for you, Kevin.
Yeah, he's
We're
a hottie.
Like cheering you on. You're a hottie. We're going to have to change the show's name.
Yeah.
I actually contacted Jordan the other day, who's Jay's wife, who is Kevin's assistant.
Yeah. Yes.
I contacted her a few days ago because I found out that Clerks is going to be screening here in L.A. at an outdoor event.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so I contacted her to see if he knew about it or was aware, and she said that he was not, but that he's going to be out of town. So I was like, okay. And before I contacted the event, I wanted to make sure of all this. And so I contacted the event, and I was like, well, I see that you're going to, I played Veronica.
And they're like, no shit.
Would you like me to come to the event? Because I'm more than happy to. And he was like, absolutely. So I'll be introducing the film on Saturday evening tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, my God. He must have been so thrilled when you called.
he did seem excited. Yeah. Well, I didn't call. I actually sent out an email.
Oh, okay.
And his email was, I could see the excitement in the email.
Yeah.
They should give you a prop fire extinguisher.
And then we did talk on the phone.
Yeah,
they should give you a prop fire extinguisher to open the event.
That's our idea. You better use that.
A CO2 one, yeah.
That's a nice thought. But yeah, he's like, oh, just say a few words and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, so I have to kind of sit down and do some bullet points.
Well, that'll be fun.
I'm sure you can rule a crowd.
Yeah.
I've seen you in action.
Hey, I'm no Kevin Smith.
Oh no, but
but you can hold your own.
Come on.
I don't know about that. It's like, because it's usually I have Brian to lean on. So.
Well, Brian Brian's a maestro.
Yeah, it's like for Kevin and Brian. I don't know two people who can talk as much as they do. So
I would just say, if you ever lose focus, pull Veronica at the end of the movie when she's like, I'm gonna suck more dicks than any.
Yeah, there you go.
Just go for that motivation.
Like pull her out.
I've been thinking about certain things that I want to put, to come across and say. So
Come across. 37? Sorry, I couldn't
That's
resist.
not what that meant.
Oh, I missed that.
I said, come across. You mean 37?
No, not come that way. That's very disrespectful.
In a row?
It's a good thing we know each other for the year. Okay.
Yes. It's fun, though.
It is.
It's like your tagline, for God's sakes.
So what else?
So-
Is there like more?
It's like if we had Arnold on, we'd have to say, I'll be back
Oh,
or
yeah.
something like that.
Like that will ever happen. Arnold Schwarzenegger. on the show.
No, well, I mean,
Come
aside
on.
from those things that are all Clerks related in some way, or
Yeah.
well, no, not all Clerks related, but I had mentioned Neil Johnson earlier, and I got to work with him again earlier in the year as well on my fourth with him. It's called Evolution War.
Mhm.
Fourth sci-fi.
Oh, yeah, you were like badass. in
Hey, wait, have you ever popped in, speaking of sci-fi, have you ever popped into the cantina there? What is it?
that. Oh, the
Scum and Villainy?
The Scum and Villainy.
On Hollywood?
I don't know it.
Well, Kevin and Mark Bernardin record there like every other Friday, like when they do Fatman on Batman.
Yeah.
I have to say the name right.
Oh,
But like it's very like, hey, come on down kind of format now. And they do it in this bar that is essentially a nostalgic recreation of a certain cantina that you may know from a 70s sci-fi film.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you understand what I'm
not-
saying.
I'm not a bar person, so.
Well, I mean, it's more the environment. It's very nerd. If you
Right. Yeah. No, but it's like I wouldn't know about it if it's
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
because
you.
it's.
But you should probably pop in some night.
Yeah, that would
because JC, who's the guy who runs the place, would know exactly who you are, and
Yeah.
would
It's like, hey.
probably invite you back for your own stuff.
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to
Definitely,
get some
seriously.
friends and maybe head out that way.
That's like one of the things we're trying to get out there to do again. Because I mean,
That's called
yeah.
the Scum and Villainy Cantina.
Yeah, they do podcasts
Holly-
there frequently.
Hollywood Boulevard. Yeah. Okay. So
Nice.
back-
Okay.
back to
Okay.
Batman. What was that?
So it's kind of like a studio bar.
Well, it's a recreation of the cantina from
cantina.
Star Wars. I mean, basically, without giving the ghost away. And
Uh-huh.
for some reason, they don't necessarily like you saying that because of copyright, blah 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 blah. But
Uh-huh.
but
Well,
that's
it's
really
like-
what it is.
Yeah,
and
it's like based on that.
but it's cool because their philosophy and approach is, there's sports bars where people go to bars and they talk about
Yeah.
sports and blah blah blah. This is for nerds. This is for people that like Star Wars and
It makes
Star
total
Trek and
sense.
sci-fi. And that's really their clientele.
But they have like a studio set up to do the podcasts as well.
Yeah, they have cameras set up. What Kevin and Mark do is really they just stand at the bar.
Yeah.
And do a show, essentially. They hold
And
a
they
mic, and
stand.
there's a very, it's not a huge crowd. It's not a huge,
Yeah, it's probably like about 20 to 30 people.
Yeah. And since they do the show there regularly, it's sort of, Kevin loves it. I mean, that's
fun.
why he does the show there. It's by his place.
Yeah.
Because it's on Hollywood, and it's not too far from what do you call it? The Chinese theater.
Hollywood Island?
Yeah, and Chinese
Germans,
theater
yeah.
and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you should check it out. I mean,
Yeah,
you
it's a
would
lot of fun.
be so welcome there. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Well, of course. And people will know.
I
you
will
right
have
away.
to. I will have to do that.
And
but-
also, JC has worked with Kevin on other stuff besides this bar, and again, they've made it the home of this podcast. So
Right. So he's not only a Cantina fan; he's a Kevin fan.
yeah.
So.
And we've had him on the show. He's a
really
cool guy.
nice. Yeah,
Cool.
so check it out, and other people check it out too if you can. We'd
I
like
love
to
making
check it out.
connections.
We'd like to check it out, but we don't even live there.
Yeah, we can't wait.
I can't wait to.
We keep trying to get out there. We
I
may
think
end up
it
getting to
might-
L.A. I mean,
I think we might get to Vegas.
We're gonna get to Vegas.
But then
Maybe
we'll
we
have
can
to rent a car.
I was gonna say, maybe we can just pop over.
I mean, wouldn't that be stupid not to? Come on.
Yeah.
How
Has it
stupid.
been like 2 years since you've been here now?
It's
Yeah, I
almost 3.
can't believe it.
It'll be 3 years in August.
It's nuts.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's like a blink. What the
Marilyn's
fuck
like,
happened?
oh my God, way too long. I agree, sister. I agree.
All right, we want to take a moment to talk about Death Wish Coffee. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, do yourself a favor and get over to deathwishcoffee.com. And there you can buy the strongest coffee known to man without a prescription.
The world's strongest coffee. ever.
Yes, as proudly displayed on my wife's sweatshirt over there.
Yes, on my body,
Yes.
on my mug,
Yes,
on
it's
my
on my mug.
K-cups. Not
Yes, and you'll know them by their telling sign of the skull and crossbones that
It's
tells
so
you
good.
exactly what you're in for. It's that used to be the international symbol for poison, but now it is the symbol for good damn coffee.
It's awesome. Without milk, with milk, you don't really need it because it's strong.
But
It's
not bitter?
Not bitter. So you don't even need milk. You don't even need sugar, but you can add it if you'd like. It's just really, really the perfect, strongest, most awesome coffee.
Become a junkie of Death Wish. DeathWishCoffee.com. Thank you very much.
Enjoy it.
And be sure to get 10% off your order at www.deathwishcoffee.com when you use the code ThatMan. That's one word, conjunctified, all caps. ThatMan for 10% off your orders at deathwishcoffee.com. I want to take this time to mention to you www.audibletrial.com/ThatManOnFatMan. That's right, www.audibletrial.com/ThatManOnFatMan. That's one word, conjunctified. Go there, sign up for your free 30-day free trial. Sign up, get a free book, a free audiobook, because you don't have to go through no tedious reading. You don't have to turn no fucking pages. You don't have to do any of that bullshit. You get in your car, you put on your headphones, and you are listening to a book. You're taking a magical journey into a fictitious land. You're expanding your mind, all when you're stuck in traffic. Fucking amazing. Audiobooks. These are the wave of the future. And you can get in for free for 30 days. A free trial. And when you get your free trial, you can download a copy of Tough Shit by our Savior, Kevin Smith. That's right. Our Lord and Savior, Kevin Smith, has left words for us to follow in our lives. And we can get it for free just by signing up to audibletrial.com/ThatManOnFatMan. That's right. audibletrial.com/ThatManOnFatMan. Thank you. Please sign up. You'll be very happy you did. We're
Yeah.
back in, by the way.
Well, because you're from the East Coast.
Yes.
I mean, that's where
Yeah.
it all started.
Yeah, from New Jersey. Well, born in New York, raised most of my life in Jersey, and I've been out here now 21 years.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm still a Jersey girl at heart, I cannot move back to the cold.
I know, the cold stinks.
For the short time we were in L.A., we just knew we liked it.
Yeah, we
knew
totally
we
get
could
it.
live
And
there.
I'm a Jersey girl, too, but I feel like that's okay in California.
Yeah, and as I talk to my friend Rob, who's out there now, like on a regular basis, and like we're very close friends for a very long time, and now he's out there.
Yeah.
He's very much like, dude, you love it.
Yeah.
Fuck Jersey.
Well,
Fuck
we do.
that New
But
York.
You can, have
He's like
you could
that.
still be a Jersey girl or Jersey boy and go live in LA. It seems
Yeah, but-
okay.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's not easy out here. It
No.
really isn't, and the prices of things are just beyond ridiculous and outrageous.
Oh, same with Jersey. Trust
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
It's
I
been a
don't know if
while.
It might be.
No, you know what? The prices of housing out here is really just
They're
yeah.
crazy.
It's not easy to be able to afford a place on your own. It's like
kind
you're
of
kind of forced to have roommates.
It's pretty
Yeah.
outrageous. It's just like if
That's
you got
why
a
I'm
place
thinking
in
this
Manhattan.
Vegas thing. This Vegas
like
thing might be a
Vegas.
smart move.
Vegas might not be a bad idea.
Because there's a lot going on in Vegas, too.
But that also, you
Yeah.
have to be
And
that,
it's only a few hours out.
well, you have to
know?
be that person because, it's like
It's
that
about 6
person.
hours out with no traffic. Let's
Listen,
just put it that way.
Look, I'm the kind of
know,
person
right?
that believes that the outdoors would be a lot better if you put a dome over it and climate controlled it. So I would be fine in
I agree,
fucking
most of the
Nevada because I would never go outside. I would
Yeah.
just always be fucking
Yeah.
in my own climate controlled
But
environment.
I didn't mind. Well, we went it was more September, so it could have been a lot hotter when we went. So it wasn't really that bad. But LA, it sounds like it's very like parallel to living in Manhattan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's outrageously
Probably.
expensive.
And the flight is a
you-
lot fucking cheaper, man.
And you can't live by yourself. You have to have like 3 or 4 roommates, or 2 or 3
Yeah.
at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I constantly
Well, it depends on what you do,
see-
I guess.
Well, I constantly see in certain ads and certain groups on Facebook where they're looking for roommates or housing and things like that, where you've got people who actually rent out their dining rooms, their living rooms
Right, well,
for
it's like-
roommates.
well, it's almost
When
like
we were
like
we
an
stayed in
Airbnb thing.
at Airbnb in North Hollywood, that's sort of what we saw. Like the place we stayed in, like the dining room, which was really would have been adjoined to the kitchen, like
was
an open,
crazy.
was just sort of sectioned off with temporary wall, and these
Uh-huh.
2 gay guys were living in there.
And they were like,
oh, they were
well,
adorable. They were very nice. They were very polite. They didn't say a thing. They kept to themselves. But then there was this other. We're pretty sure like porn was being shot
I
there.
think they rented it out the room.
Yeah,
because they
but-
they rented out the bedroom. But
They
then
had
I
the
think
back
they
bedroom.
rented out the living area.
Yeah,
by
and they were
itself.
laying out little skimpy costumes,
So-
and then they
and
were all
shoes.
piling in.
Like you
and-
could tell, like stripper shoes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, too, like now we're stuck in the room.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's
And
why
I'm
it
like,
was
they're
so
all
cheap.
getting laid in there, and we're in here. This fucking sucks.
And this is why it was so cheap, because now we only have the room, nothing else. Like we have
Right.
no ability. Because then if you want to get a snack, you have to cross through the.
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah.
Right.
But the gay guys weren't involved in the porn, as far as I could
No,
tell. They were
were
just
all-
doing their little thing.
I think they wanted to be very far away, but they were
Yeah.
closed off almost like in a.
They were 2 like California
like a
boys too. They had like
tapestry.
that blonde bowl haircut and just like
yeah, one of them was more
perfectly
curly.
tan.
I can't believe you remember all that.
Oh, I
So,
do.
okay.
Yeah, I do. It was like burned in my brain. That was one of those experiences. Like, and at first when we got there, it was very dark and it felt
Yeah.
very weird. I'm like, are helicopters going to fly over? Is there going to be gunfire? Because it was North Hollywood and we didn't know a thing about it at the time.
See, we didn't stay long.
Well, you know what? You can pretty much get a helicopter flying overhead just about anywhere around
Yeah.
here in LA.
Right.
I mean, definitely was different once the sun was up, but like our arrival was just very. Where the fuck are we?
I know. Well, I mean, it was all new, like
Yeah.
a brand. But gosh, it doesn't disappoint. It really doesn't.
Yeah, and that was it. Because Big Daddy Jimmy V just kind of loaned us a car. So,
did.
like, we were on our own after that.
Wow, the people you meet through the podcast.
Yeah.
Our friend.
Shout out, Big Daddy.
Hey, Big Daddy.
Yeah,
so
we lined him up.
we
He's
have
lined
a
up for a show
picture of
soon, too,
us.
right?
Wait, he's going to be on the show
Very soon,
I have
yes,
to
okay,
email him.
yeah.
Yep. So what else? Did we touch
Yeah, how can
on
we wrap
everything?
this out? Because
Did we touch on everything, Marilyn? you think? Are you going to be on any cons or anything?
yeah, she gave us the con. She's going to be a
Okay,
fucking
yeah. Well, that major
San
con.
Diego.
Well, yeah, San Diego Comic-Con is about the only one that I've got scheduled. I mean, well, and
Do you
it's
need to
not,
schedule anything more than
Well,
that for
but the
one? I
thing
mean,
is,
come on.
too,
It's
I
like the king
often-
of the mountain.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's like it's not like I can just schedule it because, unfortunately, we ask the promoters. It's like, hey, I'd love to be there. Can you fly me there and put me up and all that kind of stuff? And they want to be able to see the return at the door. And
I often see Marilyn and Brian saying, if you want them to come, go to the people that are in charge of the con and just tell them we want to see these people.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's why you guys do better in like little places where you don't get out there that often. They're like, hey, we love the Clerks
it's like
people.
I don't even get to Jersey that often.
I know.
So
I wish you would. We'd love
But
to
even
see.
Brian was always like, I don't do as great in Jersey areas because everybody's sick of me.
No, they're not.
But he was like,
yes, because he's already kind of pretty much saturated.
He's a feature. You know what I mean?
But there's like Connecticut. There's
But when he goes to like, I mean, this is no joke. Even Scott Schiaffa. I'm not. And they don't say this is like putting it down.
no, it's not putting
But
it
when
down.
they show up in like Montana,
Oh
when
my
the
God,
Clerks people, it's kind of like, wow, the fucking Clerks people are
Well,
in
you should,
Montana,
yeah.
or wherever.
And those are the places that
Idaho.
Well, and for like in turn, it's more fun for them too. Like for
Exactly, because everybody treats them like
they're
kings,
brand
and
new.
exactly, takes them out to the bars and gets them drunk.
And the other people are like, "Oh my God, Marilyn, we've seen her like a million times already."
But I'd love to do some more, but hopefully some more will come, and maybe one of these films that I've just recently done will make that happen a little bit more. Hopefully. Because here's one thing that I didn't mention.
Oh, good.
So I did a pilot in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm kind of I can't remember if this was at the beginning of last year or the year before that. I can't remember. Okay. But it's called At the End of the Santa Fe Trail. And it's basically based on a true story. There is a book out regarding that. I did the pilot. The pilot has been picked up for the Catholic channel.
Oh, wow.
Waiting to hear whether I'm going to be a recurring character or not.
Interesting. Nice. Interesting. The Catholic channel. I didn't even know there was a Catholic channel, but hey, I mean, wherever. Hey, you know what? Wherever the iron is hot, you strike.
Of course. That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd have to say that the biggest thing right now is the Indiegogo. Yes. A Theory of Letters, and it's 8 short films. They are all independent of each other, and they're all different genres. The only thing that kind of ties them together is that each one of them has a written letter involved in the storyline.
Gotcha. But that's sort of becoming a thing now. I mean, people are getting very into anthology stuff, anthology series, anthology where all the stories are different, like Twilight Zone stuff.
Yeah, right, exactly, and that's kind of like where we are with this. We'd like to, once it's all said and done, we've done festivals and all this kind of stuff, we'd like to actually take it as a series and try to find a home for it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very exciting.
Yes. That sounds like a cool project. But it all starts with Indiegogo.
Go to Indiegogo and check it out.
Indiegogo.
All right.
And there's a bio on each and every one of us. Like I said, I'll be directing 2 of the shorts. One of them, which I wrote, and it'll tell a little bit about each and every one of us, what we're looking to do, and so
as a director,
we got some perks. We got some nice perks. I feel, it's kind of hard to think of something different that for a film that nobody has done before, but I'm hoping that everybody enjoys what we have to offer for the donations that they have.
As a director, I really think you're going to be a natural.
Yes.
I really do, because I got that vibe in the very bit when we were shooting you. So.
And we've worked together.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I feel like that.
You've directed Marilyn before.
Thank you so much. That
very
means
briefly.
Yes.
It was more like interviewed, but yes.
Well, in a way, in a sort of a documentary way, documentarian sort of way.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like many of the short films that I've worked on and helped out in whatever small way that I could. Many times I would have to kind of keep my mouth shut so that there weren't too many cooks in the kitchen, and let me not put in my 2 cents when it's not asked for, and only put the 2 cents in when it is asked for.
Right.
And it's it's their project. Unless you see something really big.
I'm of the Steven Spielberg school, which most people don't know. Steven Spielberg, if someone gives him a good idea, he has no problem saying, that's a great idea. Yeah. Let's use his idea.
And giving them credit for that idea.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, but you have to kind of pick and choose where it is that you're going to do that.
But a film is teamwork. Yeah. I mean, that's
absolutely
the whole. I mean, it is not an art form that is for a single person.
Well, we all know people that it's harder to present an idea it wasn't theirs. We all know people.
Right.
So that's what Marilyn's trying to say.
Well, that's a different end of the business altogether.
Yeah,
Once you get in that shit.
But still, you have to learn to read the signs.
Be a little delicate.
Well, I am very much of the Kevin Smith, make movies with your friends philosophy.
I think that's a great,
That's where I tend to hover.
And speaking of that, San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes, San Diego Comic-Con.
Making a movie with our friends.
Yes, Shooting Clerks.
Shooting Clerks. You also see Marilyn there.
Yes.
You see my ugly mug in that somewhere as Howard Stern. You see, and my ugly mug behind Vinny. Sorry.
Oh,
Jimmy.
yeah. That was really ugly, that one.
That's me on mask.
At least the other one you were hiding under the wig.
Yes, and glasses.
Well, and you can.
I
check
enjoy
Marilyn.
though, in the same way that Marilyn gets a big like audible gasp.
Yeah.
Howard does get a little audible
He
gasp
does.
for the very brief.
He
time.
does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, "Is that Howard? What the fuck?"
Yes.
Kind of thing.
I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Yes.
As
Yeah.
well as scared.
Oh, it's an
No,
absolute
actually,
delight.
it really. I mean, here's what I'll say.
It's an absolute
It's a
delight.
real movie.
It really.
It's you know what I mean.
It
Like
really
if you go, we even do a review. Like Bob Hawke saw it, and like after the film,
And Chris Bain.
and Chris Bain. So it's like we do an episode with Chris Bain and Bob Hawke, and Bob Hawke gives his review, and
So heartfelt.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
and that is
I
exactly what he
listened to
says.
it. I did hear that.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And but here's the thing. The reason that I'm scared is because how many people get to say that it's like you're watching your life kind of, someone is playing you.
Oh.
Well, think about Kevin saw it. I mean, you know what I mean? And he cried and everything. Yeah. It was amazing.
That's like all of us, who've been involved in the original is, it's like, all right, is this person going to get me? They've not met me. All they're probably doing is kind of going on and getting all these videos that they see of me.
Right. You haven't seen the girl who does you.
I think you are pleasantly
Yes,
surprised.
you are. You are. You're gonna, first of all, she's beautiful.
She's beautiful.
And she captures
She's delightful.
you. Yeah,
she is wonderful.
Yeah, she does a great job.
And I'm not just saying that.
Yeah.
Really, everyone's
I will
part of
say that when we were at WonderCon, they showed one of my clips of me playing Allie, and so I didn't cringe, so that was good.
Again, like when you come on screen, there isn't,
Yes.
and every time we've seen it, and it's 6 times, from the biggest theater with Kevin in the house to the smallest theater, like that was in a bar.
It was in like a bar. Yeah.
There's always been an audible murmur.
Right, because
like,
it's a
oh,
surprise.
so
Because
oh my God,
this
yeah.
movie is full of cameos that
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's definitely, and it's very well done. So you will be surprised and happy when you see it.
Yeah, and they have been tweaking it too with each iteration.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like they added this Dante thing.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
With
Well,
Dante's
we don't
mom.
want to tell too much. We don't want to add too much. and
Which
tell
was just,
anyone.
like this thing that came out of left field. It was
Yeah.
brilliant, and
Right.
like where did that come from? Some reaction stuff. That's
Right.
great.
Well, so there's going to be a panel. I want to get the panel one more time at the San Diego Comic-Con for Maryland. If you could say it one more time.
Yes.
The date.
San Diego Comic-Con, Thursday evening, 6:45 to 7:45 in room 6A, 6 Apple.
Excellent.
And
then
that'll
the
be
Shooting Clerks panel.
Yes, that'll be a Shooting Clerks
Right,
panel.
and you can find Marilyn on Twitter at @ThatClerksGirl. Correct.
And we heard
Correct.
rumor from a Clerks Minute, if you know those guys, because I know
Yeah.
you've been on their show as well.
Yes. Uh-huh.
That there's a good chance Shooting Clerks will be being sold online sometime soon.
Ooh.
So,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Okay.
I thought he said the end of this year or possibly the beginning of 2019, but I'm
Ooh,
not
okay.
100%.
Maybe there'll be more
okay.
information.
Just
I guess
Take-
I guess that is an option if they can't find a distributor, which I don't understand. Why a distributor wouldn't pick this up. But
well, yeah, me too. But think about this. You know Malcolm Ingram, right?
Yeah.
yes,
He made this amazing documentary
Yeah.
called
Out to Win.
Out to Win.
It's amazing.
Which is about, it features athletes who are
Billie
coming
Jean
out of the
King,
closet.
Billie
and-
Jean King, a few
Oh,
other.
okay.
Yeah, and it got him to the White House when Obama was still in office, and no one picked it up.
And it still hasn't been picked up. Like, what do you have
Yes.
to do?
Yes.
And it was a very important
It was well
time.
received. Like, if you read the reviews on it, everyone who reviewed it loved
Right.
it. They
And I
thought it
think-
was an important film.
And
blah,
I think
blah,
it
blah.
was around the time like when gay marriage became
Yeah,
legal.
it very
was
much was.
very and still nothing. It's
Yeah,
so
not even
quiet.
HBO Sports, which
I
is
think-
everybody was thinking who would pick it up.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen little because you see little
Who was in it again? It's been a while
little
since.
sparks here and there
but
about it.
Who were some of the people that Malcolm mentioned?
I-
Because we had him on the show,
really can't
like
remember.
just as it was about to release too, and we figured he would be fucking,
I really can't remember, and
Huge,
I apologize,
but,
but I know that Billie Jean King is in it. If you
Yeah.
go to Out to Win,
yeah.
you can check it out. But
Yeah.
the thing is, I've seen little
Blurbs
of it
Yeah.
here and there. So I think something might be going on. So
Okay.
I hope it does. But
Yeah, I mean,
What can
and
you do?
again, documentaries are all the fucking
Yeah.
rave.
yeah.
yeah.
It's what
Yeah.
everybody's buying up.
And short films too. So I think Marilyn's on the right track.
Anthology,
Short films.
yes.
Short films people like.
And maybe I should mention this, but it's like my reason for actually doing a short film to direct is because I did option a feature-length film from someone, and I'm thinking to myself, who's going to give me $1 million to direct a feature film, when they haven't seen how I work as a director and stuff like that. So I kind of knew that I had to do a short film, and the feature length film that I have, I mean, it's a pretty heavy piece. Right. It deals with domestic violence and child molestation, so it's meaty.
I was gonna say.
So,
but apparently so did Pretty Woman. So hey, there you go.
Yeah. But while I'm working on this, I'm kind of have that on the back burner and doing some things, and I do want to get it all together in a package so that while I'm in the mode of directing, that I'm also looking ahead to be able to, once I'm done with one project, go right on to the other.
Yes,
hopefully.
Absolutely.
I hear you.
I
hear you.
Yeah. That's the way you got to do it.
We tried to do that too.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
We've learned so much about filmmaking in the last several years.
You do learn a lot.
Yeah.
Well, first thing we know is...
I've got some producers in mind that I want to hit up that I've gotten to know, and that they've been doing some work, and the full length that I have it's definitely not a feature length to put in the movie theater or anything like that.
Right.
It's more of a, I would say, Lifetime kind of a movie.
Of course.
Hey, you write the script, you figure it out, you shoot it, you shop it.
Yeah.
I love Lifetime movies, or like the Hallmark movies. Oh God.
Yeah,
Stick an
it's
ice
definitely
pick in my
something
eye,
to put
but
on
hey,
TV.
if you like that, that's fine. I'd rather have an ice pick, slowly stabbed into my
That's when
eye.
you have like a sleepover and you just want to cry and
Oh
eat
my
chocolate
god! Oh my god!
and Ben and Jerry's. Usually, like
I don't think I'm gay enough for Hallmark.
Cherry Garcia.
For movies.
Now I'm getting hungry.
All right, I am too. Actually.
Okay.
It's funny you mentioned that. We got to wrap this up.
So let's wrap it up, Marilyn.
Or I might
it's
pass
been a
out from
pleasure.
hunger.
Thank you.
Remember to go to @that Clerks Girl on Twitter.
Yes.
I think I talked
and Marilyn Ghigliotti fan page on Facebook.
Yes.
Perfect.
And look for it at Comic-Con and rewind this, and you could, if you didn't catch it, you could just go back a little bit, hit that 30-second jump button a few times, and boom.
I mean, God, she said it like 7 times
exactly.
already.
So. And
I really want to thank you guys. I totally appreciate you doing this.
I was about to say the same thing.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you so much for coming on and being part of the show.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. And check out the Indiegogo and help her out.
Thank you.
Ooh, you're welcome.
Marilyn Ghigliotti, everybody. There we have Miss Marilyn Ghigliotti. I'm still a reverb mode. Very happy to have her on the show once again. Awesome guest. I think might have been her best appearance so far. It was just a very natural vibe. Very, very, very cool. Very fun. I enjoyed the time with her. So, again, I'm stuck alone. There's not too much to say other than wrap this out. But next week, we should have, the normal crew in tow and everything. Gene should be back with me. Until that time, again, man, Kevin, skinny as a rail. I can't believe it. I keep seeing these pictures, and it's so funny seeing him look so hot. So keep it up, sir. We're enjoying your weight loss as a Weight Watchers, whatever it's called, greeter. I don't know. And it's just been a very interesting month. Happy Pride Month as it wraps up. I say that because right now, today is the big Pride March, so there's lots of stuff going on in the city. There's lots of stuff going on, all weekend. And so enjoy that if you so partake. And until then, if no one else has told you, please allow me to tell you that you're smart and good. And we'll see you next week. Take care.
nonsense schemes, gone comes we must reply. Powers from our mother earth, they'll blow us to our knees. While our souls do bind as one, come join us if you please, if you please. One by one and smirking like a thief, sleeping through another night and deepening our peace. Genesis and matter's wake is coming from our sun, living in this very moment for this moment's done. But now I see the dawn will come and we are guide. Crazy dreams and nonsense schemes, the Godhead in the skies. Powers from our mother earth, it's all we'll ever be. All our souls do bind as one, come join us if you please, if you please. As we worship at our shrine, bursting flowers into bloom, there's no such thing as time. Powers from our mother earth will blow us to our knees. Twisting, turning minds are burning, join us if you please. And now I see that I am just beginning its demise. Flashing bits of comic light that vanish from the skies. Powers from our mother earth is all we'll ever be. All our souls do bind as one, come join us if you please, if you please. If you please. If you please.
There he is. It's that man standing over Blood Alley Square, protecting us all. Go get him, that man.